Today I'm going to show you how to make kombucha, which is a fermented tea, using a fermenting tool called a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. And it turns the sugared tea into a fermented tea full of probiotics and beneficial bacteria. All right, so to start, just from the very basics, you need to make a sugared tea. So I have 2 cups of tea in here, and I'm going to add 2 quarts. I'm going to add a 3rd quart. I will boil that on my stove. I use approximately a 1/3 cup of tea, and I use a blend of tea. So this is just some plain Lipton. I've also used English breakfast tea, a black tea, and this is a green tea mixture. And I like to, because I don't understand all the details of what's in here, but I know that probiotics or the beneficial bacteria like to keep eating the same thing. I don't want to change their diet of what kind of tea. It may not make a difference, but I don't know that. After the tea has brewed, I take the bags out. I add 1/4 cup of sugar for every quart of water I've used. I have 3 quarts in here, so this is 3/4 cup of sugar. Now, so I would boil that, steep it, put the sugar in. It must cool to room temperature. So I'm going to put these aside because I've already created some at room temperature. So this is my tea at room temperature. Now, this is my already fermented tea. So what I need to do is I need to take this tea out. I could just take this SCOBY, which I'll pull out in a minute, and just put it in this tea, put a cloth cover over it like this, It has to be a breathable cover, and this could be my fermentation. From what I understand, this is a 1-gallon jar, so that's 3 quarts, just like what I brewed. It can't be any taller in the container you have than it is wide. So if you had a very tall, narrow container, that doesn't help you. You want kind of a squat container. Anchor Hocking has a 1-gallon jar with a nice lip on it that holds your rubber band for $13.99 at Martin's Hardware, and I think you can get it $10.99 at Shopko or something like that. You can also just use a old pickle jar like this. So this is my sweet tea. Now I have to get the tea out of this one. This, with the spigot, is a continuous brew system. And what that does is I never take all the tea out of that. So I have the benefit of some of this tea being very mature in terms of the beneficial bacteria that have been growing in it, and it kind of seeds the next. Now the SCOBY will also do that. So I wouldn't need to do that. I could just start fresh with a new container every time. I just have moved on to a continuous brew system. So I'm going to drain this, and while that drains, I'm going to put my gloves on. I don't do this normally, but I don't want to gross anybody out. To pull out this very thick symbiotic colony, see how it's kind of stiff? Colony of bacteria and yeast. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to put it on a plate, and I'm going to show you this is what it looks like growing. The new top is what's called a baby SCOBY. The bottom, when I had mine, I got a big thick SCOBY from someone, but I needed to split it with my sister. I was leaving town right away. So this is my mother SCOBY, and it's really enough for creating all of this new growth. And this is probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks out of my continuous brew system. Now I'm going to put this SCOBY, this is my baby SCOBY, even though it looks like the bigger one. I'm going to put that aside for my friend Tammy, who is taping this, so she can take it home. And I'm going to put just a little bit of freshly sweetened room temperature tea in here to help it travel better. So now this is Tammy's SCOBY, and here's my mother SCOBY and her baby SCOBY, which is now her mother SCOBY. So this is hers. It's packaged to go. Now this is still draining. I'll help it drain a little bit. I want most of it out, and I'm going to show you how to bottle it. Actually, I guess I could even just do this, right? There. And I have a little bit of my continuous brew system in there. And I'm going to add this cool water temperature, or room temperature sweet tea to my little bit of other tea. And again, if you're using a replacement system every time, you wouldn't need to leave any in there. That's fine. I'm putting my mother SCOBY back in. It can float or not float, it doesn't matter. Usually it has to do with the temperature of the tea in here. I put my breathable cover back on, I secure it, and then this goes out of the way in my kitchen, preferably not in too cold of a place. The colder it is, the slower it will ferment, and the warmer it is, the quicker it will ferment. So in the winter, it's a little slower to ferment than it is in the summer. Now I'm going to show you how to bottle kombucha. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use, in this case, a quart jar. I'll show you different things I've got. I've bottled in these bale top bottles. The thing with kombucha is, as it ferments a second time, this is the second ferment, it creates a bubbly flavor. A lot of people use it instead of soda pop. So did you hear the little click? That was the air escaping. So I would fill it, putting it in here, and about ½ a cup of juice in each quart. So this is about a little more than a quart bottle, I guess. So this one already has some. So I was gonna show you this. I have a quart jar and a pint, both bale top. This is a okay bottle to use. It's a sealable bottle, but like any other soda, when the big area is unpopped, more of the kind of carbonation, if you will, could get out. The other thing you can do is anything that seals that you would keep liquid in. So I would put ½ a cup of juice in this quart and fill it. And sorry, I don't have any juice with me right now. I was going to stop and get some, but I just didn't get that done. But this is the stage you would put the juice in. About ½ a cup of quart, just enough to allow this probiotic filled tea, or this beneficial bacteria filled tea, to ferment for a second time. Not a lot of sugar. And it also has a nice flavor. I have a friend, the person who gave me my SCOBY, Lori Neverman from Common Sense Homesteading. And I think the website is commonsensehome.com. She gave me my SCOBY. You can also order them online. She has experimented with all different kinds of flavors, honeys and chocolates and every kind of fruit. My recipe that I like is pretty much I put ½ a cup of either cider or cranberry juice, because I like that. The last time I made it, I only had cherry juice. And I always put about 10 blueberries in, just because it's a really nice flavor. It just adds something nice to it. So this is really the preference step, and you discover the flavor you like. And again, I probably should just leave a little bit out of here because I need just a little bit of space to add my fruit juice back in when I get some. So I'll set that aside. And leave that for a couple days, and it'll have a nice fizzy flavor to it, or not texture, sense to it. Now I'm going to show you some of the stuff I did last time. This is a finished kombucha, and so it's got a little bit of a fizz to it. You can't see it. This is a cherry and tea brewed tea. And that's it. So I think you know everything you need to know how to make kombucha now. If you have questions, go look at commonsensehome.com and search on kombucha, which is exactly where I got my recipe. Thank you.